Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of EETV, where I strive to bring you everything in entertainment. We had a good time watching this show, the season 1 finale of Trigun Stampede, entitled High Noon at July. So let's begin. The scene opens up with Rim in a spaceship and Rim teaching Vash and Knives about history. The sea ships have been traveling for 200 years now away from Earth. The journey is compared to that of Western life on the frontier on Earth, while Rem is teaching Vash and Knives about history. They ask why they are the only plants that can live outside of their castings. Rem believes they are gifts sent by God to be the bridge between humans and plants. The giant plant made of purple geraniums grows larger as Wolfwood watches. He says it is the end of the world. William tells Meryl in the next scene that Knives has gone to the other side of the gate. In the next scene, Knives is seen in the higher dimension, artificially impregnating all of the plants via the core to create new independence. William states that Knives will wipe out all of humanity and start a new world. Meryl asks if Knives is going to kill all of us if this goes on. Williams says Vash is not the Vash the Stampede that Meryl knew. Meryl fires at the tank containing Vash. Nothing happens. It is explained to Meryl that the gate is open and Vash is the hub. William then says that the only way to close it now would to destroy the gate itself, aka kill Vash. Now the scene cuts to Knives inside the higher dimension. Knives penetrates the core. Meanwhile, back on No Man's Land, the purple geranium plant continues to grow. July's military police requests backup as the vines travel through the city. It is then shown that the vines begin to travel outside of July, headed towards the rest of the planet. As the vines continue to grow, Sazi oversees the chaos. Sazi sees Wolfwood and asks if he's going to run. Wolfwood responds that it's not every day he sees Sazi so flustered. Wolfwood also asks Sazi that everything did not go as planned. Sazi said Wolfwood could have made death obsolete if he had a network. Wolfwood responds and says humans are not like that. Meryl attempts to awaken Vash. William says he has been reborn as a plant. Vash looks like the image of Christ on the cross while he's petrified without actually being in the pose. Vash, while petrified, begins to move. William says human words have no more meaning to him anymore. Meryl falls and begins to climb the vines again in order to speak with Vash. She reloads her Derringer when she reaches Vash and then shoots the container to awaken Vash. Then Knives is seen in the higher dimension making a speech how humanity feeds off plants like parasites. Meryl is seen still attempting to awaken Vash. Vash and Knives can be seen under the tree during Vash's dream state. Vash is singing and Knives asks, "What is that song?" Vash says he feels that he knows it from long ago and he sings it to calm himself down. Vash asks if they can get along with humans. Knives says he will protect him. Vash hears a humming and looks down in his right hand, and a red geranium begins to bloom. A red glow can be seen where his heart is when Meryl is looking at the petrified Vash through the container. Vash begins to awaken and he runs from Knives in his dream while they're both seen as children. Now seen as an adolescent, Vash runs into the field of geraniums. The red geranium in Vash's hand breaks apart and blows apart in the wind and transforms into the embodiment of Rem. Vash chases it. After running through the trail of Rem's embodiment, Vash is seen as an adult wearing his iconic red coat, and he still has his original arm and hand. Rem apologizes for leaving Vash alone, and she is happy that she was able to live on inside of Vash. Vash's awakening is complete as a green light can be seen glowing through the container. The power flow is reversed and ejects Knives out of the higher dimension. He asks William what's going on. Knives attacks Meryl and Vash protects her and then dispels the vines utilizing his gate. Vash imprisoned the purple geranium vines in a cube. Vash is seen with his hairstyle is reminiscent of the manga and the first anime adaptation. Vash fights Knives. Knives wants to be in the higher dimension again and fights viciously for that. William looks at the computer and noticed the core didn't converge. William noted that Vash broke the energy down into particles smaller than air and crystallized it. William also states that this will not last long. Vash remarks that he has to get the cube far away now. The fight continues outside and Meryl almost falls to her death, but Wolfwood saves her. Knives tells Vash they will never be accepted by humans because of their power. Vash and Knives continue to fight in mid-air. A yin-yang symbol can be seen on the skyscraper, symbolizing Vash and Knives. Vash manifests his own wing to fly, and he has trouble at first controlling it. Knives murders the military police and tells Vash humans are the plant's enemies. Vash says he is wrong. Vash pushes the cube into his gun, which creates the angel arms. As Vash and Knives rocket up towards the sky, the yin-yang symbol is seen in the skyscraper again, once again symbolizing their balance. Vash attempts to get the cube far away so he can release the energy in space. Knives asks William to cut off the lab to save the plants. William asks what he's going to do. Knives says he will push the energy back into Vash so he can pry the gate entrance open. Vash and Knives argue about who was right. Vash says he will run if humanity tries to attack him and then settle back down alongside them after they calm down, because he is Vash the Stampede. Knives is shocked when this answer is given. Vash releases the energy into space. Knives tells him to stop or he will die. Knives says Nye is dead because Vash killed him. Knives wants to create a paradise for plants before he dies. Knives attempts to reach out to the cube. He grabs it, but he's unable to grasp it, and he lets go because he is being pushed by the energy dispelled from the angel arms, and he is seemingly killed. Vash calls out to his brother. July is destroyed when Vash impacts into the ground, and the lab can be seen making its way to safety. 2 years have passed since July's destruction, July 21st. A radio report is being listened to and informs us that the loved ones gather at the ruins of July to pay respects. 90% of the population was lost during that event. On a wanted poster, Vash's bounty was raised to $60 billion, the highest in history. Meryl rips it down. Meryl leaves Roberto's favorite brand of cigarettes at his gravesite while looking at the picture of her, Wolfwood, Roberto, and Vash. She notices something and turns around. Sazi speaks to Meryl, and he is here to give her a warning. The twins casted a bridge and was cast up into the void. Sazi says very soon they will arrive, crossing over the wall of light from Earth. Headquarters asks where Meryl is, as she responds that she is at July. The dispatcher says if she keeps acting up, she will be sent to the insurance society. She is asked to stop by headquarters because she is receiving a newbie that requested to work with her, and the dispatcher notes that the newbie's name is Millie Thompson. We get a cut to a old saloon, and we are taken inside of the saloon, and we see Vash, and he is shown with Lena, and he's trying to recall what happened to him as she tries to persuade him to eat while he's playing the piano. We can see that he no longer has his artificial arm, and his hair has grown significantly in the past 2 years, just like we have seen in the manga in the first adaptation of the anime. During the end credits, we get a point of view from an approaching ship, and we hear a conversation between two of the ship's officers. The project Pieces of Earth is now entering phase 2. A name is mentioned: Special Ops Lieutenant Colonel Independent Chronica. The project Seeds left Earth 350 years ago, and project Pieces of Earth has finally picked up on their signal and is approaching the planet of No Man's Land. This ends the first season of Trigun Stampede Season 1, and I do think this was the best episode out of the entire season. The pacing was great. We got enough dialogue not to be bored. The action kept us interested, and if you paid attention, you got to see some great artist depiction on how Vash was able to conquer the state of being petrified while being kept in a dream state by Knives. We got a lot of unanswered questions, and hopefully those who didn't like it, now your questions are answered. Now we got to see how everything connects, and just seeing this episode confirmed the video that I made last week that Trigun Stampede is a prequel that is going to be led into a sequel and then taken on beyond that point. It definitely follows more of the manga, so if you haven't read the manga, please read Trigun, and then afterwards read Trigun Maximum, and you will understand what's going on. Now, I know a lot of you are upset that it did not follow everything like it did in the first depiction, but once again, the Trigun Stampede is pulling more heavily from the manga than the first anime depiction. So let's continue here, and I'll tell you some of the things that I've noticed. Now, when it came to the dream state, Vash was seen in a child and all this in his dream state, and this was done on purpose because Knives wanted to get him into a vulnerable state and lower Vash into a false sense of security. And Vash felt the safest on the seed ships when they were still traveling in space when he was with Rim, when Knives and Vash were young. Also, this can be seen as how Vash's level of understanding about himself and the world around him was more childlike, innocent. Also, as we see him become older in a dream before his awakening, this can be interpreted as Vash understanding himself and his environment, and what he wants to achieve is maturing. Also, in the dream, he is chasing the embodiment of Rem after the geranium that bloomed in his right hand breaks apart and turns into the embodiment of Rem. When he catches up to her and he literally runs through Rem's embodiment, Vash has fully matured, having fully embraced Rem's ideas and thus beginning to forge his own path. He physically looks the same as he did in episode 11, coming into full maturation mentally. When Vash awakens, he looks different, and what you'll notice if you pause the video and you look, his hair is similar to how it was in the manga in the first anime adaptation. His glasses are a different shade, being blue instead of yellow, and the outward appearance of his color of his jacket has changed from bright red geranium to more of a purplish color. Now we'll move on to his fight with Knives. He fought Knives seriously for the first time, using his gun to block Knives' attacks. He still attempted to get to see the Knives, to see his side, because he was still holding back a little bit, but not as much as he was in earlier episodes during the season. Vash wanted to keep the energy cube away from Knives, and he created the angel arms to launch the energy into space to keep everyone safe. Knives was seemingly destroyed in that conflict, being blown away by the energy when he touched the cube for one final time, but was seemingly disintegrated by the energy released from the angel arm. The lab was safely relocated before July's destruction, and we saw that at the end when Vash began to cry during the conflict before Knives was destroyed. You can see at that point that he knew in his heart there was no redemption for Knives, and that's why he was crying. During the aftermath, of course, July is a crater, and it's a memorial. Sazi warns Meryl that more people will come from Earth, and I like the way Sazi put it, as from them crossing the wall of light, coming from the void, because he's speaking in more like an old world fashion since he's a worm and he's been on that planet. So I like how he knows about technology but speaks about it in his own dictation. I like that. Millie will be Meryl's new newbie, and we heard that at the end that Millie Thompson will be joining Meryl. For those of you who are upset about her job, remember in the manga that at the end of the manga, I know I'm giving it away, but I have to because people were being upset about this. At the end of the manga of Trigun Maximum, Vash travels the planet with Millie and Meryl, and Millie and Meryl become investigative reporters and travel with Vash. Now it seems that, Yashiro Naoto has given them the job of reporter sooner, but I like how he even paid homage to the first adaptation of the anime by mentioning the Insurance Society. Now we also get to see Vash, him with his longer hair and wearing a different set of clothes, and he doesn't have his artificial arm, and he has a beard as well. And if those of you who haven't seen the first adaptation or read any of the manga, the young lady that is speaking with him, that you only see her from the back, is Lena, because has been staying with them and he's trying to remember everything that has happened, and that's why he's playing the piano, because that's one thing that's trying to jog his memory out of everything that has happened. In the end credits, it is shown that Project Pieces of Earth has detected the energy released by Vash and his angel arm 2 years later while approaching No Man's Land. That, I'm not going to spoil that one. That leads more into the manga and what goes on, and I don't want to spoil that for you. So you're going to have to read the manga, Trigun Maximum, to see what's going on as far as that. Also, the lab is still on No Man's Land and has, was able to escape the destruction of July, the order given to William by Knives to get the lab out of here. And we also have to remember that the plants that were impregnated by Knives 2 years ago, the new Independents would already be sentient and walking around and be able, to live their lives now. So we have to remember that. Now, what also that we have to remember, this is the last part I'm going to mention before I close out this video. My prediction for season 2 of Trigun Stampede is that the remaining Ive Michael personnel / gun-ho guns that we have yet to be introduced to will be the independents that have been born after the destruction of July. The only dead gun-ho guns Ive Michael soldiers are E.G. Mine and Manoff the Gale. There have been killed. Now, the Ive Michael / gun-ho guns that are still alive are Legato Blue Slumbers, Sazi the Beast, Livio Doublefang, who is also Roslo, the Tri-Punisher of Death, Elandera, the Crimson Nail, and of course our favorite Nicholas the Punisher. Those are the ones that are still alive. Now, yet to be introduced in Trigun the Stampede are Dominic the Cyclops, Leonoff the Puppet Master, Hoppereth the Gauntlet, the Mid-Valley Horn Freak, Ride-Day the Blade, and Hopper, already mentioned Hopper the Gauntlet. Those are the ones that are yet to be mentioned. So out of all that, now, I don't know if Yashiro Naito has also included the gun-ho guns that were only shown in the first adaptation of the anime and were not originally a part of the manga. The only name that comes to my mind, I think there's two more there's two more that I recall, but the one that I can only remember now that was only a part of the first adaptation of the anime and was not in the manga was Longshot, Kane the Longshot. He was first adaptation exclusive. He was not part of the manga. So I don't know if he's going to add the gun-ho guns that were exclusive to the first adaptation along in there with it. But as you can see, I made this video long enough, but as you can see, I'll give you an example. Elandera, the Crimson Nail, the young lady that is a half plant, half human hybrid, She was a manga exclusive, and they never showed her in the first adaptation, but they showed her in Trigun Stampede. So I like how they're introducing, once again, more of the manga in here. But I say again, it's interesting to see who's going to show up and who's not going to show up. I think it'd be pretty cool if he also added the ones that were also anime exclusive in here, but we'll find out. And I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen with the Project Pieces of Earth arriving in No Man's Land. But overall, this was good. I enjoyed this. I really did enjoy this. I enjoyed the action at the end. I also enjoyed the epilogue at the end that made the connections to the first adaptation and the manga. And now we also are going to have Millie Strife be a part of the second season, which is great. And I think everybody's going to like it from there. Like I said, if you were too shaky or not sure about Trigun Stampede, a lot more fans of the original anime adaptation will be able to relate more to the second season. And I think a lot of people will come around and like it. Just me personally, episode 1 and 2 were kind of shaky, but episodes 3 through 12 got back on track. But I really do believe that episode 1 and 2 were done like that just to shake everything up and just make everything different. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel like it. I will be releasing more videos in the upcoming future. Take care, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.